Video games have been getting turned into films more and more in recent years, with varying degrees of success. Sonic the Hedgehog was a hit with audiences and the box office, and now more recently Uncharted has been seeing some success at the box office too, with audiences enjoying it a lot. It's not just the big screen though. On the TV front, Netflix has nailed the video game adaptation with animated shows like Castlevania and Arcane, the latter of which is incredible. We also have The Last of Us. It was highly anticipated and now highly acclaimed on HBO this year. Of course, some adaptations weren't so good, like Super Mario Bros. Back in the 90s and Blood Rain, and you know what, we could be here all day listing the bad adaptations, there's that many of them. These adaptations aren't going to stop either, especially with this recent success. We're going to get more, whether we want them or not. So this leads me to my topic today. What video games would I like to see getting adapted into film or TV? I'm going to start with the one that we already know is actually happening, Horizon. So here's how I would do Horizon, and then I'll go into what we know about what's actually happening with Horizon. I'm of course talking Horizon Forbidden West and Horizon Zero Dawn, particularly the first one, Zero Dawn. So the whole crux of what this is, what makes Horizon special, is the setting and what you're doing in that setting. It's about Aloy in this tribal community, post-apocalyptic, where the world is now inhabited by robot dinosaurs. That's the special sauce there. A world inhabited by robot dinosaurs with tribal communities of humans. And what I would do is focus entirely on that as the first season of a TV show. Yes, it would be a TV show. 8 episodes max. It would have to be a big budget TV show to get it done right, with the amount of CGI necessary to create the dinosaurs. But I would also like to see some more practical effects in there too. Maybe the way they've done the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, for example. But I would start every episode of this show with a 5 to 10 minute flashback to before the apocalypse, about the fall of man. Then you have the opening credits, and then the rest of the episode focuses entirely on Aloy just adapting that story, the main narrative of Horizon Zero Dawn. That I think could work. However, Netflix is making a Horizon TV show, and it's not quite what I think a Horizon TV show should be. Instead, what Netflix is doing is it's focusing entirely on the fall of humanity. Right. It feels like they're kind of missing the point there. So there's not going to be robot dinosaurs, it's going to be about humans towards the back end of humanity, presumably living in bunkers or fleeing robots and machines and AI, in which case it's kind of like Terminator? I don't know, it just feels like that's not what Horizon is. That's a very small part of Horizon, in fact, a very important part, but small. So yeah, is this going to be canonical with the games? Because we already know about this stuff in the games. Why make that into a TV show? I don't know. Another adaptation I would like to see is Mass Effect. This is the big one, I think. You could do Mass Effect in a movie, but you would have to cut out a lot of the fat. And there's a lot of fat there. What we do know is apparently the rumours, I don't think it's actually been officially confirmed, but the rumours are Mass Effect's getting adapted by Amazon. That sounds great. They've done The Expanse, they've got Lord of the Rings, showing the big budget sci-fi and fantasy elements there. Bring them all together, Mass Effect could really work as an 8 episode TV show, I think. You could throw in some of the side stories, you could throw in some of the bigger, more action oriented set pieces there as well. Now the big debate here is, do you adapt the video games? Do you adapt the stories of the video games? A lot of people probably say no. Personally, I would say yeah, you do. But I do think there's also room for have like a spin-off that is just its own story in the Mass Effect universe. I think that could work quite well as well. But I would like to see the video game story getting adapted first. We already actually have a Mass Effect movie as well as an anime movie called Mass Effect, which is a lead-in to the events of Mass Effect 3. I haven't seen it, I'm not a huge fan of anime, don't know what it's like. Here's another one now, The Legend of Zelda. So The Legend of Zelda, a lot of people have wanted a TV show or a movie of this for a long time now. I think the only way you can do Legend of Zelda is animation. I think the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Movie is going to demonstrate the potential of Nintendo properties getting adapted into movies and TV shows. I think you could have a anime or animated Zelda movie like Super Mario Bros. Don't cast a voice actor though. Or maybe you do, but only have limited speech in there, because Link doesn't speak all that much. There was an animated series already, back in the 90s I believe. Don't know much about that. Don't think it really kicked off. Don't really think it got that much attention. That probably says a lot. I do think there's room to have a more family-oriented kids animated TV show focused on the Legend of Zelda stories. That could be really good as well, but I do think a movie would be super cool, especially if it's done right in animated form. Just avoid live action altogether, because you're not going to get someone that looks like Link. And even if you do, it's going to be weird seeing those characters in that world in live action. Max Payne. So Max Payne has already had the movie adaptation treatment starring Mark Wahlberg, and it was bad. It was very bad. In fact, it very rarely felt like Max Payne at all. It added in weird fantastical elements which just aren't in the video games. So you stick to the story of the original video game. It's about a man whose family is brutally murdered before him, who then gets addicted to painkillers and goes out trying to kill the mob. And it's an interesting story. It's not the most original thing ever. It's a bit like The Punisher in certain regards. It's very film noir inspired. I would say try and mimic the comic book stylings and effects and visuals of the video game. There aren't any cutscenes in the video game. The cutscenes are all presented as if it's a comic book strip, and it's really cool and stylistic. Try and do that in movie. Maybe not the entire movie, of course, so that probably would get a bit annoying to watch after a while. But I do think that movie and those characters can be brought into live action in a good way. And I don't think it would work as a TV show. The final one I want to talk about today is Red Dead Redemption. So Red Dead Redemption, there are 3 Red Dead video games. Yes, 3 of them. Some people forget about the original one, Red Dead Revolver, but there are 3 video games. I think you could adapt all 3 video games into a sprawling TV epic. And I think it could be a big budget HBO style Western show. They've done Westerns before with Deadwood, my favourite TV show. This would have to be more sprawling, more epic. They also done Westworld as well, which is sort of Western. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption could work in its epic scale and scope. You could have an overarching narrative, but you could also have standalone episodes where the characters of John Marston or Arthur Morgan or Red are going about doing side missions and just visiting certain towns and getting involved in little adventures here and there. It could really work quite well as a TV show in that regard. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption would have to have a huge budget. It would have to have a lot of sex and profanity and violence. It would be very adult, let's say. But I think it would be really good. You could try and cram it down into a movie, but I think that's kind of losing some of what makes Red Dead Redemption such a good video game. But anyway, those are the adaptations I would want. Those are how I would treat some of those adaptations. Some of them we actually are going to get in some form or another, like Horizon, for example, and maybe Mass Effect. What adaptations would you like to see? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to my channel and follow me on _Grant Burton on Twitter and Instagram. Until next time though, thanks for watching.